What is up, you guys? Bashlat Soy, or in this video, Lord Beelzebub, bless you. Father Joe Ogun here, back again today with another video, and today I'm going to cover the topic of Kimbanda. But before I do that, I know the question where all of you guys been asking, where have you been? Well, first off, happy holidays, guys. Happy Yule to my witches and warlocks out there. Merry Christmas to my Christians and those who do celebrate Christmas. Happy New Year's to you guys. So, I'm currently in Brazil, getting some spiritual things settled here in Brazil. Um, Currently getting some spiritual treatment for my health. And today, I got a topic I want to cover that I've gotten a lot of messages for on my WhatsApp. So, what I want to cover today is, let me just center this a little bit better. There we go. What I want to cover today is actually dive in more into the spells of Kimbanda and what's the process of doing a spell in Kimbanda, what are the steps of the spells. Of course, every single spell is different, but I'm going to at least dive into the general notion of it, all right? So, usually when you go find somebody who's has credentials, to do a spell, one, you ask them, of course, what their religion is. If they say some weird shit like they're Adventist or they're not of any religion, they just read cards, or if they say that they're Muslim, listen, each religion has its sets of witches and warlocks. However, I'm not personally, me, I'm not trusting anyone who doesn't have a solid basis in religion, right? So if you're not, for me, in my opinion, if you're not a warlock with ties to a coven, if you're not a warlock with ties to a coven, if you're not a voodoo king with your own temple, or a Kimbanda, a Tata of Kimbanda, or a Babalo de Shah of Ganamle without credit, I'm not going for them. All right, and usually that's what I tell all my clients as well, because I keep it up front with my clients, so I usually tell them be very cautious of who you go to. So when you go ahead and you do the spell, depending on the person, either you pay up front or you pay half and then work up on a payment plan, depending on what it is. Okay, so after you go ahead and you pay whatever, usually the high priest goes, buys the materials, and he or she will usually tell you what the time frame is depending on the spell it is. For spells like decimation spells, destruction spells, depending on the level of destruction spells, it can happen overnight or it can take a few months. I've seen people, spend personally 50K on destruction spells because they wanted it to happen literally overnight for something major to start happening and the person's life starts spiraling down control. So, of course, 50K, you're sacrificing a lot of animals, giving a lot more blood. Obviously, you're not going to work with the shoes at this point. At this point, you're going to start working with demons, and not just any demon. You're not going to just grab Gadriel or Galil. You're going to go ahead and you're going to grab one of the 9 princes of hell, Asmodee, Asmodee, Samael, Beelzebub, Lucifer, Astaroth, one of the 9 princes, okay? And the more princes you shove into a spell, best believe that shit's gonna hurt a lot. And it's gonna work a lot better. Obviously it depends on the spell. If you're doing love spell to tie people together, of course you want to work with Lilith or Pomajita. Usually if Lilith, she does require blood. That's why spells with Lilith are a little bit more expensive, speaking from my point of view and from my spells, okay? I've done thousands and thousands of spells, and the most, of course, all my spells have become so successful so far. I haven't had one client complain. However, some of my spells will take time because people do not want to spend, or they don't have to spend, the thousands of dollars to do something with Lilith. So I just go ahead and say, let me do something with, for example, Pomajira, Maria Padilla of Hell, right? Queen Maria Padilla, Queen of Hell, which is a very famous Pomajira that I work with. So usually the spell, depending on what's done, it can take, um, 24 hours to 3 to 4 months. Okay, so usually what I've seen happen sometimes, I've hear complaints from other fellow tatas and other fellow high priests is, oh, what happens when someone doesn't pay you? Well, people ask me my personal opinion, and usually it depends. If it's something like a few $100s, I don't. For me, I just I give the case to Beelzebub. I'm like, you know what? Here, have fun. You know. But if it's close to 2 grand, or if you're talking about thousands now, that's different. You know, I personally don't like doing harm to people. Um, I know it's kind of contradictory to say because I'm a thought of Kimbanda. However, just like I've done before, you know, if I don't get paid, then uh, that money's not gonna go to waste. So usually when a spell is done, right, the spell is going to take effect. After that, then the client starts getting happy, right? And then they can spread word of mouth, this and that, and then I could tell them about the other services. So what actual spells do I actually do in Kimbanda? Me personally. Well, in Kimbanda, I do love spells, controlling spells, manipulation spells, um, expulsion spells to separate people, divorce spells, destruction spells, death spells. Um, what else? Really, that's usually the spells that are most requested. So let me dive into a little bit of each. So love spell, obviously, it ties two people together. Love spells have different durations. Some love spells are done with Lilith and are renewed like a contract every year. And those usually are love spells where the person absolutely hates you and or doesn't even know you, and then that's when I have to go ahead and ask Lilith to force your image into that person's mind. Then that's when they're gonna start having that weird dream where you hear sometimes where people say, I think I've dreamt of you before. You know, that's usually when it arises. So love spells like that usually cost a little bit more money. Obviously, each case is different, so I just can't disclose prices here because, of course, each case is different. Okay, love spells with Lilith usually anywhere from realistically, because I know most of you guys are not going to pay tens of thousands. So realistically, within 72 hours, all the way up to a month. Okay, other factors could change the timing, depending. So hand in hand, usually with love spells, another one, like I said, separation spells to separate two people. Okay, so usually I throw that in with the love spell because usually the person sometimes is with somebody else, so I have to separate them, cause arguments, cause problems, uh, just make things go haywire. Okay. Third one, manipulation spell. I've done this time and time again. It could be either the husband's too controlling and then the wife wants all the finances all of a sudden, or the husband's cheap. Usually it's women that want this, but some men want it as well. But usually they want it more towards to get things from their bosses, or to get like promotions or whatnot like that. They rarely ever use it on their partners. I think I've only done maybe 1 or 2 spells for a male for his partner. So usually with the manipulation spell, you tell me what you want from that person. So for usually my female clients, they want the money from a certain person or from their partner, because it's not just partner, it could be from anyone. So usually they want some financial gain from it. So what I usually do is I send Baby Lilith, depending on who it is, or Asmodee, or one of the other nine Infernal Kings, depending on what the situation is. I send one out, and we go ahead and we see what could be done. So what happens is, let's say a female client wants money from her boss, right? Well, the demon or the issue, either or that I use, goes and starts putting in that person's mind, well, maybe I need to, well, maybe I need to actually pay this person a little bit more money. Or, I keep having this dream of this person. Well, hey, do you know who that person is? Oh, you do know who that person is. Okay, can you give me a contact with that person? And then all of a sudden, that person starts eating off of the person who's dreamt of you or whatever, starts eating off your hand. It starts doing everything you want, because that's what a manipulation spell is in our reality. Okay? Next one, destruction spell. There's three levels. Of course, there's suicide, there's financial, and there's health. Okay? Usually, I only do one of the three, because all three is gonna be a little bit expensive for some people. Okay? Because obviously financial, I go ahead and I send Asmodee, or an issue like issue Beelzebub. For wealth, of course, Beelzebub all the way, Lord of the Flies. Um, for suicide, it's a little bit more complicated. I can't speak about it on camera, but it's a process that involves a lot of egums, which is a lot of spirits. Okay, because in my previous videos I've talked about the different types of spirits there are. Obsessors, vampires, and whatnot. So another one that's very, 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 very popular for some weird reason is the death spells. So the death spells aren't always suicide spells. They can be dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens different ways. Okay, it could be accident. It could be something else. But of course, these are topics that I can't disclose on YouTube. Okay, for obvious reasons. Okay, so if you guys have any questions about any spells or any services, you guys could just drop it down in the comments. It's a new year. Going around March is when the gates of hell are going to open fully for about 1 month, which is called Lent in Christian culture. So that's the best time to do a lot of different spells. All right. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm going to drop my WhatsApp down there as well. You guys have a blessed day. Eshu Beelzebub bless you guys.